Good morning. Welcome back, fellow Hoops fans, to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our great friends over there at topsport.com.au. Now it's Friday morning. BK Fridays are in full effect. My man, what's happening?
Gang, what's good, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You know what? The NBA season's taking a toll on me, man. I'm tired, fam.
Yeah, we're in the dog days here. It's March Madness time.
Well, that's even worse for me. You know I don't like college basketball.
Just waiting for the play-in.
I'm waiting for the play-in, man. Like that's when things are really going to start to get interesting. I mean, we've only got one NBA game on today, and you know it's Detroit and my favorite team, Orlando. So.
Blockbuster Friday.
Look, despite there only being one game today, we still have a lot to talk about some very good teams, not teams like Detroit and Orlando. We're going to start off with the Golden State Warriors, BK, because they had a bit of a scare yesterday. They thought Steph Curry could be out for a very, very long time. Suffered a foot injury in the second quarter of yesterday's loss to the Boston Celtics. Didn't return to the game. We've got the tweet over here and with the footage. What did you make of that, first of all, BK? We were talking a little bit about this before we started the show. You asked me if I thought it was a dirty play. And look, you know, like I said, Smart's reputation precedes him. I don't feel like he went in there with that intent on this.
I agree. I don't think he went in there with that intent because he came up with the ball. Like, you're allowed to dive on loose balls. What are we doing here? But you're right. I mean, whenever you're diving at someone's ankles, especially a guy like Steph Curry, who we obviously know his ankle history, I get it. I get why Steve Kerr's obviously mad because that's your guy. That's your number one guy. So losing him for a few games before the postseason isn't ideal. But, you know, in terms of just whether it's a clean play, dirty play, I think it's play on. You're allowed to dive for loose balls. He came up with the ball. I think it's just a lot of Marcus Smart and, you know, everything that he's done in the past. But I don't necessarily even think that he's a dirty player. But I think it's more reputation than any sort of villainous actions from Marcus Smart. I'm okay with this. Yeah,
I'm with you, man. But like you said, Steve Kerr was fuming about this. He was hot. You know, when there's a potential of losing the greatest shooter of all time to injury, of course you're going to be hot. But he did an MRI, so the results came back this morning. The MRI showed a sprained ligament in his left foot. Didn't reveal any fractures or significant structural damage. And the Warriors believe he will be back by the time the playoffs start. Draymond's back. He came back yesterday. How does the loss of Curry, BK, affect them moving into the playoffs now?
I mean, if you look at it from this perspective, you know, we were speaking about this earlier, you know, they ran 12 deep last night. They went right through their rotation. So there's guys out there that will want to get some reps in before the postseason. Guys like Jordan Poole, even Chioza. They've got a lot of depth at the guard position. So for them, it's an opportunity, you know, to actually get some minutes. Guys like Kuminga, Moody. So they have a lot of guys out there that will want to be part of the playoff rotation. So this is their moment now to kind of prove, like, okay, you know what, you can count on me in the postseason, because things are going to get, are going to get tight. Obviously, once the postseason comes up with the rotation, you're not rolling that many deep. You're rolling 8-9 deep tops. So, I mean, if Curry's back by the start of the playoffs, as you said, Draymond's back. Clay's looking a lot more like Klay Thompson. I think the Warriors will be fine. James Wiseman's still on the way back. They'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the Warriors are kind of team where I don't think the seeding really matters for them as much. Like, if they're neck and neck with the Grizzlies at the moment, you know, if they end up dropping down to number 3, I don't think that bothers them as much as like it would some other teams. And then obviously getting Curry back, even if he misses the next 12, 13 games, whatever it is, he's not a player that you need to reintegrate. He doesn't need those match reps. He can just slot straight back in.
He's good. He's
good, you know. And for the moment, like you said, Klay Thompson looks like he's finding some of his old touch again. He's starting to get back to being as close to the old Klay Thompson, you know, as he was that we know. I think they're going to be just fine as well. Like, I don't think this is going to be a major problem for them moving forward.
Time will tell. Time will tell. But I agree with you in the seedings kind of thing. If they're the 3 seed or they're the 4th seed, like they'll be fine. Like I'm not too worried about the Golden State Warriors and their first round opponent.
Yeah, look, like you said, they're deep enough. I don't think they fall below 3, to be perfectly honest, because I think they're deep enough to be able to maintain that sort of positioning. The only team I see going above them, obviously, is the Grizzlies, because they are neck and neck, and the Grizzlies have been playing so well. All right, moving on, BK. I know we've both been wanting to talk about this one here, because this one here, it's the whole Pat Beverly versus Russell Westbrook rivalry. Now, this thing dates back to about 2019, I think it was, when as a member of he was still with the Houston Rockets at the time, Russell Westbrook, his teammate James Harden dropped 47 primarily on Pat Beverly. And then post-game, Russell Westbrook was saying that Pat Bev tricked y'all. He's not really the defender that you guys think that he is. All he does is a lot of running around, et cetera, et cetera. So they've been going back and forth, jawing at each other for a few years now. And yesterday it sort of took another turn. The Wolves obviously were big on the Lakers, as most teams are these days. Pat Bev intercepts the ball here from Russell Westbrook. They go down the other end. They get the foul. But later on, you can see here, he's trash. He's mouthing the words, he's trash, holding his nose, saying that the Lakers stink. And I mean, I see nothing wrong here. This is all, like, I'm loving this, BK. There was obviously more of it post-game, but I want to get your thoughts on this first before we move on to the post-game comments from Westbrook and then Pat Bev again.
Well, I mean, this goes even further back to when Pat Bev was on the Rockets and Russell's, with the Thunder and he collided into him, caused that meniscus injury. Like, they've been going at each other for a long, long time. But right now, and it's not just the Timberwolves, a lot of other teams as well, they smell a wounded animal in the Lakers. And for a guy like Russ, who's been giving it out for a long time, like, players are seizing the opportunity to get him back. And Pat Bev, no one's probably copped it more than Pat Bev from Russell Westbrook. So this is the first game ever in their careers that Pat Bev outscored Russell Westbrook. He had 18, Russ had 15. So, you got to talk your talk. Like, this is your time. Like,
yeah, I'm with it. Like, long live the king. The king is dead. Take advantage of it right now. And even Karl Towns, I think at one stage, Westbrook airballed badly a 3 from the corner. And Karl Towns was just sort of like looking for an open window because that wind just carried that thing.
Bro, it's getting disrespectful out here.
Like, I actually saw some Lakers fans tweeting, once they got down big and they were like, man, even the Wolves are clowning on us. This season is done. So look, for me, it's hilarious to see. But post-game, they actually asked Russell Westbrook about Pat Beverly's, stinking nose and all that sort of stuff. And he said, I honestly don't pay any mind to it. The trash talking doesn't bother me none. Nobody over there has done anything in this league, right? Which I thought was hilarious.
That's fair.
Which is fair. I get what he's saying. And then Pat Bev replied back via Twitter, and we've got the tweet that we're going to show up right now as well. So he came back and he said, playoffs every year, 2 Western Conference finals with 2 different teams, individual stats or team stats. I thought it was a team sport. Now, I get what Pat Bev is saying, and he's 100% correct. But I'm also, and you know me, I'm no Russell Westbrook fan, but I also, Pat Bev has definitely not achieved anything on an individual level that Russell Westbrook has either. So I kind of get both their sides on this one here, BK.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a 9-time All-Star MVP, 3 straight triple-double seasons. Don't get it twisted. Russell Westbrook has had a hell of a career, but that's just how it's going this season for the Lakers. Like, teams are taking their opportunity to clown them because throughout their careers, they've been clowned by Westbrook. LeBron's probably beaten the pulp out of their teams 100 times. If you can get one over not only those guys, but also franchises like the Lakers, like you gotta ride with it. Like, that's just how it goes. But I love it. I love players being candid. I love them, being able to go on Twitter and talk that talk. Like, this is the NBA. This is what people love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that the NBA lets them do this, because if it was any other league, guys would be getting fined or suspended or whatever. Like, let these guys talk their shit. This is what we love to see. And to your point about Westbrook, I remember for so many years, he'd drive to the bucket or dunk or whatever, and he'd be doing that rock the baby, move after. I was like, dude, like you're going to get yours one day, and now you're getting it. Like I'm here for it. Sign me up for all of this.
That's just how it goes. If you're going to dish it out, you got to know it's eventually coming back to you, and it doesn't taste as good on the way back, but that's the game.
No, that's the game. Russell Westbrook's not enjoying it though, and he's had, like you said, a full career of talking shit to people. And now that it's coming back to him, he's not enjoying it. I'm loving it though. I'm loving it. I'm sorry.
And rightfully so, because he was giving people the business for a decade. Like you're allowed to talk that talk.
Listen, it's not going to happen, but I would love to see a Wolves-Lakers matchup in the playoffs, just for that extra spicy. It's not going to happen, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, hopefully the play-in seedings work their way out that they face each other.
Unfortunately, I think the Wolves are actually too good for the play-in spots. I think they're going to creep up. I think I don't know if they catch Denver. You're right, but we'll see. We'll see. But I'm here for all of that spiciness. All right, BK. One more team that we're going to talk about that is fighting in those play-in spots, but over in the Eastern Conference. Your team, not your team, but you've been big on this team all year, the Toronto Raptors. They're 5-1 on their 6-game road trip. That's including 6 straight W's. Quite the turnaround for the Toronto Raptors because they're a little bit touch and go there for a couple of weeks. But they've beaten the Suns, Nuggets, Lakers. It's not such an achievement, and the Clippers out of those wins that they've had. BK, how good are they looking right now?
Man, this was a really impressive road trip from the Raptors. First time they've ever won 5 straight on a road trip, and they needed it because, as you said, they had a couple of tough weeks earlier leading up to this, but now they're in a situation where they've got the same record as the Cavs. They're right there, knocking on the door of getting that guaranteed playoff spot, and they play the Cavs again pretty soon. They've got the Lakers, Sixers, and Bulls. A pretty rough stretch leading up to that game, but there is every chance the Raptors sneak into that 6th spot. The Cavs haven't been playing really well. I think they've lost 3 of 5. So the opportunity is there for the Raptors, and they're definitely taking it. I love this team. They play hard. They just got 5 guys that are 6'8", 6'9". They just play nice switchy defense. They just try every single night. And it's not just one guy. One night it's Gary Trent. One night it's Pascal Siakam. One night it's Van Vliet. One night it's Scotty Barnes. So they're just getting it from all over the rotation. I'm really enjoying watching this scrappy Raptors team because the preseason expectations for them were not good.
No, they weren't. And like you said, to your point again, guys are really stepping up. I mean, Siakam, I think he's putting up numbers very similar to his All-Star season from a couple of years ago. Fred Van Vliet, who's got a wonky knee, ends up putting up, I think, 22, if I remember yesterday. Scotty Barnes didn't have like a super great, impressive game, but he still somehow puts up like 15 and 8. So like you said, they're making the contributions. The next 4 games are going to tell us a lot about this current Toronto Raptors team. As things stand, they would probably play Brooklyn in that play-in tournament. So they really want to get into that guaranteed spot. And to be perfectly honest, I think Brooklyn would rather see Cleveland in that play-in game than Toronto Raptors.
Toronto's sneaky, man. Like they're a team that can just sneak up on you. I would still be confident in the Nets even without Kyrie Irving available. But I don't know. That's the Raptors feel like a trap team in the play-in. If we're just having to play one game in Toronto, I don't like that for anybody.
No, I'm with you. And look, like I said, if Brooklyn's looking at it, you'd rather a wounded Cleveland team because they've got a lot of guys missing than a team like the Raptors that is sneaky, crafty, got some good vets on there, and just some young guys that don't give a shit and will just go for it.
And well coached too. Shout out to Nick Nurse. He's continuing to prove he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Like I said, next 4 games are going to be huge for the Toronto Raptors. Going to show us a lot about them as a team. All right, BK. Just the one NBA game we're going to take a look at today before we get out of here. And then we've got one NBL game to take a look at as well. So let's start with his blockbuster clash, BK.
Let's go.
The Orlando Magic, Detroit Pistons. Magic, $1.67 favorites. Detroit Pistons, 229. Lines at -3. Totals at 219 even. Live on NBA League Pass, BK. Both these teams have 18 wins on the season. Pistons have lost 4 in a row. Magic have lost 2 in a row. Unfortunately, one of these teams has to win today, BK. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, I don't loathe the Orlando Magic like you do. I like some of these guys on this team. I like Cole Anthony. I like Wendell Carter Jr. They got some nice, interesting young pieces on this team. So I'm a rock with the Magic because I know you ain't.
Yeah. Well, let me just run through the injuries as well. So obviously the Pistons, no Jeremy Grant, no Hamidou Diallo, Frank Jackson are all out. Cade Cunningham, as of last night, was listed as day-to-day with an illness. And no Jalen Suggs and no Wendell Carter they're both questionable. Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter questionable for the Orlando Magic. So you know what? If Cade Cunningham, Jeremy Grant, they're all out.
That's the whole team.
That's the whole team. So I'm going to go with the Magic today.
I know how much this pains you.
Yeah, look, there's a first time for everything, all right? So, yeah, I'm rocking with the Magic. We're going to take a look at this NBL game, and then we're going to get out of here, BK. Is this the equivalent of Detroit, Orlando in the NBL?
It's close.
It's because neither one of these teams are making the playoffs either. 36ers, $1.42 favorites. Cairns Taipans, 287. Lines at 5.5. Total at 160. Live on ESPN tonight. Taipans lost to the Kings in their last game. 36ers lost to the Breakers. This one's in Adelaide. And I think I'm going with the money on this one here. I think the 36ers are going to be too good for the bottom-placed Taipans at home.
Yeah, I'm a rock with the home team in this one. I'm with Adelaide as well.
Yeah, there we go. So, unfortunately, not mouth-watering games on the agenda today. But look, it's still basketball. We love hoops. We are going to be tuned in watching it, my man. BK, enjoy your weekend, my man. We'll catch you on Monday as usual.
Always a pleasure, my brother.
All right, this has been another episode of The Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our great friends over there at topsport.com.au. We'll see you guys Monday morning.